wanted to do just hang on. Okay. There might be, so it says live over here. We'll give it a minute because it is connecting. And then I always want to make sure that I mute over on YouTube so we don't get the echo. So give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
All of that part, make the, everybody, this is, just hang on. There we go. See, there's the echo. Okay. Everybody, this is Brooke. Hi, this is one of my badass new friends, but becoming like such a dear friend. I'm going to scroll up so that we can see any comments coming through. There we go.
I'm going to turn on, how about some mood lighting here? Let's turn on the fireplace.
Hey, girl.
We're going to have a good chat over here.
Set the mood.
That's right.
I'm so excited to like jam out. One, I mean, it's in the same spirit. Like this is International Women's, right? We just had International Women's Day. So International Women's Month. And so, I mean, talking about self-made, talking about being self-made. And so I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you. And this is just raw, open conversation, unedited. So there will be no edits for this. This is 100% Brooke, but you know how to slay this. So I love it.
Yeah.
Because you, to me, are so inspiring on just what that looks like to be self-made. And what I kind of mean by that, and I definitely want your perspective on it, is it's just, like you didn't get the handout. Like everybody has certain privileges. Everybody comes from different types, from their own background. But what it really means to be, especially, yes, a woman self-made, but a woman self-made that like didn't come from a family of money, didn't come from like Nepo babies. This whole anti-Nepo baby is like a huge thing right now. And it's like, well, let's highlight more of the conversation of what it looks like to be successful, to have created something from scratch with, yes, you have a family, you have friends, you have all those things, but like you created multiple different angles of business. And so what is that like? You didn't have inheritance, you didn't come from money, and nothing wrong with that, but to like inspire that, yes, it can be done, in learning that success kind of from scratch. So like, first, what is like, how do you know when a self-made, how do you know what a self-made woman is? How do you know that a woman is
first of all, I'll define self-made. What self-made means to me is I made something of myself. Like literally self-made is I'm making something of myself, whatever that is. And, and I'm taking the raw materials and I'm taking like my experiences in life and my upbringing and my education mixed with all the different layers of what's happened in my life. And I'm making something of it. So that's self-made to me, because we all go through circumstances and things in our life that could set us back or set us behind or make us become a victim for the entirety of our life. But those of us that are self-made, even if that's not attached to a financial number, right? Those of us that are self-made, we have made something of ourselves, no matter what the circumstance was. And so that's what self-made, means to me and why it's so powerful. Because even if I wasn't successful and I wasn't making a ton of money, if I had just made something positive of the experiences that I'd had growing up and just had a very happy, joyful life, like that in and of itself would be success. Of course, I've taken it beyond that and I've created a lot of success monetarily and financially. But to me, self-made is like that person that, like, my mom always says this, and I swear one day I'm going to host a retreat and you're going to have to be at it. And I'm going to buy everyone big girl panties. And I'm going to buy I'm going to get some like really good looking Spanx that are like grandma looking underwear in the front and like thong in the back, like business in the front, play in the back. And I'm going to have an embroidered big girl panties, because my mom always used to say, like, honey, you just got to put your big girl panties on and you just got to do it. And so being self-made is like the opposite to me of being a diva. A diva expects everything to be handed to them, expects the world to see their greatness, expects that everyone's going to take notice just because they're talented at something or good at something, expects that, everything should be in their favor. And, why aren't doors being opened? Like, that's the diva. The self-made is like, hey, listen, I know I'm good, but I'm going to have to work for this. I'm going to have to put my big girl panties on and I'm going to have to do my laps. you know?
Like work for it, like for real though. And
Yeah.
I love, so you know what? I haven't heard anybody share that definition of it. And I love it. And two things that you really highlighted are you used what you have, like your creativity, your like what you were truly innately born with. And you're like, I made something of myself. And that's really, really true. Like that's a perfect example,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter whether it's financial or not financial or to what you define success as. Like you made something and you made something that you're proud of. And to me, I always think of then you made something that you're proud of that you own. Like nobody, you're not working at another job for something, right? Nothing wrong with any of that stuff, but like you made something that like you own, that you built, and all of that like creator energy, and that it wasn't like it's your first generation, started from you, built from you, scaled from you with your drive, your motivation, your creativity, all the things like what's in your basket.
To me, it's like another baby. It's like when you're building something of your own, it is your baby. And I think that's why it's so sacred and it's so special. Because if you are self-made, which I also want to say that, like, listen, nobody is 100% self-made, because we all have friends and we all have support and cheerleaders and we have people that come along on our journey. But also at the same time, you are self-made because you're the person that decided to keep showing up every single day. So it takes a village, but ultimately you're the one that's fighting the battle in your head. Am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? Am I going to get up today? Am I going to put in the work? Am I going to do the calls? Am I going to work on the website? Like nobody else is going to come into your living room or into your computer and MacGyver that crap. Like they're not going to do it for you. So you
gotta find the paper clip and the bubble gum and the glue.
Right.
And the
exactly. And the granny panties with the thong up the back. I mean, I am telling you, I am making those. I'm just telling you. Okay.
I am so here for that. And honestly, I've used a similar analogy. It was like, I was doing a speaker training, like a public speaker training or something like that. And they wanted me to tell a story. And I gave this whole analogy of like big girl pants. Like you got to step in to your big girl pants. So I'm so here for that conversation.
Yeah.
But being self-made, like when I think of like the things that are needed, right? Because then everybody has a different definition for it. And so we have to really like honor what it is for us.
Yeah.
But in the values, I guess, or the sort of toolkit that is needed in self-made, like you need your community, you need your network. That's never like, that's like a given. I feel like that's almost like nobody has to say that or not say that. But like you said, at the end of the day, when I'm going to sleep, when you're going to sleep, the demons are between my two ears.
Yes.
Nobody's fighting those but me. I got to learn how to do that myself. And so I feel like there's more of like it's empowering to have this like self-made perspective. It doesn't mean anti, it means, wait a second, responsibility. Like I got this on the days when, because nobody's going to love your dream like you.
No.
Fight for your dream like you. And on the days when it's hard and some people might want to quit, or you can't guarantee, like support is a luxury. It's not a guarantee.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck is they have a dream, they have something they're working on, and we all get in trouble when we have expectations. And a lot of us have these expectations and we have this like manual for how people are supposed to show up for us in our lives. And so I find that the people that are self-made that are really successful is they learn how to lower their expectations of what other people will do for them, for their dream, and raise their standards for what they will do, raise their benchmarks for what they will do. Because I spent a lot of time like thinking like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't she show up for me? She should have showed up for me. Like, I thought she was going to do this for me. I thought she was like really my friend. And it's like, no, she's my friend, but like, hey, she has her own life. She has her own crap. She has her own business. She has her own problems. Like the buck stops with me at the end of the day. And I'm the one that's going to fight for my dreams. So I have to raise my standards, my benchmarks, and I have to lower my expectations. Now that doesn't mean I don't have standards for the people that are in my life. It just means that they didn't get the manual. Hey, sis, I didn't get the manual. They didn't know that like they were supposed to do X, Y, and Z to help you be successful. Cause like they're also working on their own thing. And so, you know, we could support each other and cheer each other on. But at the end of the day, like you said, You're the one that's showing up. You're the one that's doing the work. And one of my pet peeves
Yeah.
is, I mean, I'm a Jesus girl. Hey, I got Jesus on the wall over there. He's walking on water. But I have that picture because I'm like, I want to learn how to walk on water. Like I want to learn how to amazing miracles in my life. But one of my pet peeves is when we give all of our credit away. And I am a God girl, and I am a person of faith. But a lot of times I see people give all of the credit to everybody else but themselves. And I realized a couple of years ago, I was like, yes, absolutely. I am thankful. Thank you, Lord, for giving me my gifts, my strengths. Like, you know, thank you, these people, for showing me the way. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad, for the lessons I learned. But also, thank you, me. Like, thank you, me, for showing up on the day. You know,
Snoop Dogg. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. But I see it all the time with women. And I think it's because we're trying to be like so humble, and we don't want to like look like we're like proud, and we want people to approve of our success and not think that we're conceited. And it's like, you absolutely have to recognize the sacrifice, the time, the effort, the tears, the loss. Like ultimately you're the person that birthed that thing. And while other people, including your creator, helped you, you still had to pick up the shovel, girl. So I hope that you are thanking yourself for picking up the shovel and shoveling the manure.
Oh, like serious. I love that you just said it. Like, just call it out. I'm going to say it. Shoveling the shit. It sounds ringy. It's more ringy. Shoveling the shit. You were the only one. Because some days you're like, I'm not shoveling that. I'm not doing that.
No, but you train yourself to do it.
You do. And I love that you said that. And honestly, because I have some, you know, listeners and part of community that, yes, are faith-based, and some that say universe. And it's the same though, because there's always this, oh, well, I'm going to like give it to the universe or whatever. And that like, just, I don't know. I like how you said it, where it's just, you got to show up every day, and you can't just always give praise to something that, like, let me put it this way. No matter what the belief is, you got to meet that thing halfway, that creator, that higher energy, that consciousness, God, spirit, your term, you still got to meet it halfway.
Yeah. Trent Shelton says faith is in your feet. Like Trent Shelton says faith is in your feet. Whatever your faith is, it's in your feet. So like, honestly, we can all have whatever our beliefs are, and that's beautiful and that's nice. But if your feet ain't moving, like, nothing's gonna happen.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Seriously.
I love it. Because that's still, there's no handout. That's still, whether it's financial handout, generational handout, like there's no handout. Faith is in your feet. I love that. And faith is faith. Faith transcends name and terminology. Like faith is faith. It is a verb. It is an action. It's
an action. It's a verb. Like
step.
It's simply implying that you're going to believe in something that you can't actually physically see, right? And so anytime you are growing a dream, you have this figment in your imagination, this vision in your mind of what it's going to be, and nobody else was given that vision. Nobody else is able to see what you're going to see. And so you choosing to move your feet and to get into action is a manifestation of faith, which is something that you don't have proof that it's going to work. I didn't have proof that anything I was going to do was going to work, but I just decided, what if, like, I'm going to choose to have faith in this. And then like, hey, what's it going to take? What's my next step? You know, who can partner with me in this? And just being that creative person that was like, okay, I got to find a solution. Like, how are we going to do this? And embracing like how incredibly messy it was, and how imperfect it was, and how imperfect I still am, you know?
We all, I mean, like all of us, let's be real, like nobody's perfect. So, and that kind of is like a really good point, because, like coming from shifting, let's kind of dive in, because you would mention something, and this is in our private conversation. So I want to like bring it into this conversation, because it's a lot around, like, if you didn't see it. So whether it's belief and believing in yourself and believing in your own dream, or you didn't have it in a family, like you didn't have that sort of mindset in your family, you didn't have it shown to you, like what are some of the things that for you, you know, because you've built 7-figure something like,
Yeah.
we forgot to drop that in the beginning. Like she's kind of done a lot. Let's just be real, plus 6 kids. And so just super inspiring, and not that it's a number, right?
No.
So let's just say you've done incredible things.
Yeah.
And you didn't come from like, that wasn't part of your family. So what either mindset did you have to shift, or like that kind of thing for yourself to do that? Because it wasn't presented.
Yeah. So interestingly, like this actually just came to my mind. So we didn't really talk about this. So yeah, I mean, I have a 7-figure business, and then I have multiple other 6-figure businesses. And but the thing that I'm most happy about and most proud of is that I live a good life. Like it's the whole reason why I call my coaching community the Good Life Coaching Community, because I feel like, money is nice and success is nice and everything, but if the quality of your life sucks and your relationships and your health is in the toilet, like honestly, life sucks, And so I want people to be successful and make a lot of money, but I want them to have a good life. And that's what I'm cultivating myself. Now, I didn't have a horrible childhood. I didn't have a terrible childhood. I come from 6. I have 5 siblings, and we're pretty close. But I did come from a background of my dad struggling with mental health, like chronic major depressive disorder, instability, would sometimes disappear for, weeks at a time when I was in high school and be off with his mistress. And like, he just had his issues. Right. And a lot of it just stemmed from this deep, deep depression and never dealing with his wounds and the things that happened in his life. And so one thing that happens to me as I grew up, and I think this happens to a lot of people, is we take on the identity of our parents. And so for many, many years, until I was in my late 30s, which is when I launched my business, I'm now almost 45. And for like 2 decades of my life, I thought I was going to turn out to be just like my father. And it was kind of like the sins of the father sort of thing, where you feel like, I'm kind of destined. And I struggled a lot with depression, and I struggled a lot with anxiety, and I struggled sometimes to get out of bed. And even though I was in the health and fitness industry and taught classes, I actually struggled a lot with motivation in my life and making changes. And one day I woke up and I decided I am not my father. Like, I am not my father. And it was for me, like a lot of coming out of what you came from, if it was, minor things or major trauma, is you like actually deciding and owning that you are not your parents, that you are not what you grew up in, and that you do not have to create that same thing. And I did not really fully embrace that until I was almost 40 years old. And it was like a fog lifted, and it was a fundamental shift in what I believed my destiny was, and how, because I came from that, I thought, well, motherhood is going to be hard. Marriage is going to be hard. Success is going to be hard. If we have a lot of money, we're going to be miserable. It was like all of these thoughts that I had. And so I had to shift my identity away from my identity of who I was or what I was or where I came from growing up. And then I literally became somebody that was so hungry to grow and personally develop and change the way that I saw myself, because I didn't have confidence. I didn't believe in myself. I was never that person that was like, thought I could do something really, really great, but I wanted to believe that.
But you have now.
I know, but do you understand that? It's like, I
do.
wasn't that way, but there was something inside of me that was like, I really want to see if I can do it. I'm curious about the evolution of myself. I'm curious to see what I can do, but in this state of not having confidence and not having skills and not believing in myself, nothing is going to happen. And so I became really hungry with, all the personal development stuff, the podcast, got a coach, like all of these things, the books and all of this. And really it was just like me totally going through this transformation of releasing my identity attached to the struggles that my poor father had, and me stepping into, I can create the life that I want to create, and I can be happy, and I can have a great marriage, and I can be healthy, and I can actually really like my kids. They're super rad. And I can have have multiple, I actually do like my kids. I think they're super cool. And
no,
you
I think that's awesome. Because I work with a lot of moms and like they secretly, and I know a lot of moms are going to relate to this because I hear it all the time. They're like, don't tell anybody, but sometimes like I don't like my kids.
Well, hey, listen, like we all
Mom,
like reach our end, but like I feel like because I've totally like revolutionized the way that I feel and think about motherhood and success and everything, like I've kind of raised like these little groms, like in the surf world, because we're like surfer family / snowboarding.
oh my God, you're a cool family. You're
We're
like
like
a
a
cool.
super cool family. Like I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, dude, and I say, dude,
Yeah.
dude, I like totally gave you 4 groms. Like our 4
That's
boys.
amazing.
I'm like, I pushed out 4 groms for you. I gave you 4 best friends. So we've just like created this life that is rad, and we like our kids and we like our life. But honestly, it trips me out every time I think about how I used to be, how I used to think. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, how are you this way? And I'm like, it was a lot of hours and a lot of tears and a lot of awakening and a lot of ownership of the crap that I used to believe, that I believed as fact, that I believed as truth, that I started to peel back layer by layer, like the layer of an onion, and started deciding, is that something I want to believe? Is that something that I think is true? Is that what I want my life to be like? Do I want to be limited in that way? And it was like, no, I don't want that. And so you do have to have that sort of awakening where you finally decide, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not my father. I'm not my mother. I'm not my ex-husband or whatever it is you're dealing with. And you get to step into who you want to be. And then it's the work of, unpeeling all that crap.
I love, like, I didn't want to interrupt in that whole flow because I'm like, oh my God, that's so juicy. And I just want anybody to just like rewind and like watch it 5 to 10 times, like play it while you're sleeping. So you'll drop it into your subconscious. But I want to dive into that a little bit more because like I talk a lot about like lead like her, right?
Mhm.
And just in women focused, those who identify with women, and like, it's the, who is that one that you're stepping into? Who is that highest version of you, or whatever you're going to name her to be? Or like you said, you have this one identity that you thought your life was going to end up being like your family, whatever. And then you were like, but what if, and for like a half a second, like I saw almost like that little kid in you of like, but what if, like, almost like you're being at Disneyland of like, but what would it be like if, like, I don't know. I saw that. Maybe I'm like making it up, but there is that like little spark of like, but what if I want something bigger and better?
Yeah.
And what would that be?
Yeah.
And so like obviously, and anybody who's done the inner work, we know the time, the energy, like all that stuff. But like, if you could break like a portion of it down, like, was it as clear as make a decision? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, like that transition from this is my old identity that I can clearly have awareness to then this other thing that I like, what if this thing could be possible?
Yeah.
What was that jump? What was that bridge? How did you cross the bridge? And I love asking people that because everybody's different. So
I know everyone is so different, and I don't even know if this will make sense or be useful. But I remember being in that space and just kind of wrestling with myself, because we're the greatest war we'll ever, fight is the fight within ourselves. And so I just remember like being at war with myself and having like a super big vision for what I wanted to do and how I wanted to help women. And specifically, like a lot of what I'm really passionate about is helping to like unleash potential in mothers, in women that have kids, because I know so many women that have kids that literally hold themselves back completely for their kids. And they say that it's for their kids and they put their lives on hold and they don't go after any dreams. And women are just phenomenal creatures, kids or not. But I know so many that are just like amazing women and they're just waiting and they're never making anything of their potential. And I felt like a huge part of my vision is I knew I needed to help set those women free. I knew like that had like eternal significance to me. Like, this is like a part of your mission and what you're supposed to do. And so I just one day realized that was absolutely necessary for me to do. And that there were going to be parts of me that I was going to have to leave behind. And I was going to have to confront the parts of me that couldn't come with me. And so I had to like literally write down like, what parts of me can't come with me? Okay, the part of me that always says, I'm so busy. And I have so many things going on in my life. I don't have time. And so it was me identifying keywords and key phrases that I would say and patterns. And Henry Cloud, I don't know if you know Henry Cloud at all, but he said patterns should scare the crap out of you. Patterns should scare the crap out of you. Like, never let a problem scare you, but let a pattern scare you. They should be so freaking scary to you. And so what I did is I went
negative patterns.
Yes, negative patterns that take you down the drain. And so I started identifying words that I would say and phrases that I would say that pull me back to the old me that were disempowering. I started noticing patterns, which could be like, I'd have some conflict with someone and then I would avoid, and it would take like a week or two to work out that conflict. And so I went on this, basically like journaling and doing the work of like, what am I saying? What are the phrases I'm owning and embracing? And what are the patterns that keep putting me back to exactly where I was? And so I think that was a big part of the work that I did. And I only started doing that when I understood why it was necessary for me to make progress and why it was necessary for me to move forward. And for me personally, it was like, I want to set women free to be able to be everything that they want to be, to like achieve their limitless potential. And in order to do that, I can't keep saying I'm busy. I can't keep saying I don't have time. I can't keep engaging in these patterns. And so identifying those, and when I would catch myself, go and do like the exact opposite thing,
like hard corner, just opposite. Yeah. Yes. I love it.
Yes. Like rewiring my brain, because I was so comfortable doing these same patterns and saying these same things and didn't realize how that was actually, manifesting a certain result in my life. So I think it was like really getting tied to the necessity, and necessity and meaning is so powerful to get you to actually take the action to change your life. So take the time to really dig in and understand, why is it necessary for me to succeed at this? And then why is that necessary? And what does this mean? And how is this tied to my purpose in life? And then identify those sticking points for you, those phrases, those words, those patterns that are keeping you in the same place, and start to go the opposite direction of those things. So I would say that's where it started for me, is ownership. A lot of ownership. A
lot of ownership. And that's different than awareness. I like that you're using that term, because you brought the awareness and everybody's like, that's the hardest part. And that's the first step. And I'm like, that is not the hardest part. And that might be the first step, but you're just calling it ownership and then changing direct, like actually feet on the ground, right?
Right. Feet on the ground. And then lots of action. I mean, lots of action, persistent, consistent action. I mean, it was really messy for me. Like when I legitimately describe, when I started building a business, I had a 6-week-old. And then 2 years later, I had another baby that became my 6th child. And I remember once I got tied to that necessity and meaning, like I would do whatever I had to do. I would do whatever it took. And back then, my husband was working legitimately 80 to 90 hours a week. And so he was never home. So basically I was like a single parent. I had all these kids, and like, I didn't have childcare. I didn't have a house cleaner. My family didn't live on the island. I was isolated, out in the middle of nowhere on this island. And it was like, I could have totally been a victim and been like, you know what? I don't need to do this. Like, this is too hard. I have all these kids. But again, tied to like, I have to help set these women free, and I have to help them to realize their potential. And so I would literally be like nursing a baby, stirring the pot for dinner, and leading a call. And I am not even kidding, Serah. I wish I could find, in fact, I probably have some recording these, but you'd see this little baby hand, like creeping up, like a little in the camera, like tickling my neck. And I would just laugh and I'd be like, oh yeah, sorry guys, I'm just feeding my baby.
Stop it.
It was like no boobs were hanging out. Okay. There was no nudity in this scene. All right. I was covered up.
And hey,
you know what? Breastfeeding's all the rage, right? It's all good. Free the boobies. Okay. So anyway, I just was like, I didn't know any other way. And I didn't know any way except to be like exactly what I was. And I was like, well, if anybody thinks this isn't attractive, okay. But what it did is it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It set women free, and it set moms free. And it let women see, like, hey, you don't have to have like your makeup all done and your hair down and like your clothes all together and your children locked in a room silently playing, Legos, like that. Life can be happening and you can still be creating $1 million business. And sometimes this is what it looks like. And other times I look really great and I look glam and I got my crap together and my nails are done. But sometimes I'm stirring the pot, nursing the baby, and leading a training call. Right. And that's like and that's literally, real. Yeah. And that's real. And I don't think we see enough of that. And so I haven't been afraid to share that the whole time. The whole journey is like, hey, this is the messy, this is what's going on. And still I choose to move forward.
Yeah. And I think, it sounds like too, it's really set you up for that whole mindset shift on the yes, I can, and what if, and all of that, like really had you like, cause now you do multiple things. And so this perspective of shifting what like the self limitation, or even in business limitation, like you can only have the one thing,
right?
Like that's not in your sphere of, I love it. Cause you said one thing.
What are you talking about?
Limits me. Like you said this really clearly. And I love that your event is called Limitless, right? Align Limitless. But like, you're like, anything that limits me, like I resist.
Yeah.
And just this like energy of like, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but it's shifting that perspective, and you've been able to then do more things, and you don't have I only have to do one thing.
Right.
Because I also have, and whether it's kids and running a business, or whether it's multiple businesses, right, or we all can do multiple things if we have the capacity for it. I want to like put a little bit to that.
I love that you bring that up, because it's never a competition. And even when people are like, oh my gosh, you have 6 kids. And I was like, well, hey, you have 1, and 1 is hard too, or 2 is hard too, or not having kids and not having a partner has its own difficulties and its own things. Cause like, I've got someone to bounce ideas off of, every day. I've got my, husband or whatever. And so as I've grown and matured, I've like grown to understand that it doesn't matter kids or no kids, we all have our disadvantages and we all have our advantages. And so the capacity part does matter to me, because my alignment is not your alignment, is not her alignment, is not his alignment. We all have different alignment. Now, for me, I feel like I was born with this extreme gene. I was born with this like max out, like I'm like a female, better looking version of Ed Milet. Sorry, Ed Milet, I love you. Actually, you're a good looking guy, but like I'm a female version of like, let's max this mother out. And that's kind of how I've lived my life, not from a place of, I feel like I have to chase success, or I've got to get another notch in my belt, or I've got to, get another rung up the ladder, but it's just my hunger and my desire to do good things. And it's my hunger and desire to see what is possible for me. And the craziest thing about this is how I was talking about how I started to shift things was I took ownership of what are the words, what are the phrases, the thoughts that I'm thinking. Yeah. And so one of the things that I always used to think is like, well, I can't do that, or that's not possible for me. Those were things I would always say, or I can't do that because I have kids. And it's totally shifted to me. And you can use this question for yourself. Those of you guys listening in, is like, if you're tempted to say, well, I can't do that, shift it to, if I were to do that, how might I do it? If I were to do that, how might I do it? And that opened up a whole nother level. And so with every business I have and everything that I've done, when someone's told me, you can't do that, or I've told myself, I can't do that, because I have actually to my face been told, you can't be successful at network marketing. I have a 7-figure network marketing business, and you can't fill an event room, and you can't coach outside of that industry, and you can't do a mastermind. And it's like, well, I mean, let me just fill you in. I have a mastermind.
I just did all of those all at once last month.
Yeah, I have a mastermind with non-network marketers and network marketers. I do an event that's like a 50-50 event that's any kind of entrepreneur. I still have my network marketing business. I have my kids. I have a podcast now. I have all these things because like I choose to say, if I were to do that, how would I do it? And not only if I were to do that, how would I do that well? How would I do that and still maintain peace in my life? How would I do that and still have alignment? How would I do that and not be stressed out and burnt out? Because that's important to me too, is like, I know you're multi-passionate. If you're a woman, like it's just in us. Like,
Just, yeah, it's in the
it's,
blood.
it's just in us. Sometimes we
Soul.
deny it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we deny it because we're like, no, I should be a good mom. I got to shove that down, or no, I should be a good employee.
And the whole world says, no, you can't, because
Right.
and it's not just because you're a woman. I don't want to preface that, but it's the whole, it seems like, right? If we reflect out, the conversation reflected back to us is, no, you can't, because something, something, something. And
Yeah.
then we hear it, and then we believe it. And then when we go after those bigger dreams, then the first thing that we're hearing is those internal patterns, programs, internal dialogue that is like, oh, well, I can't because.
Yeah.
I love that you shifted that, but I love your extended shift, which anybody on here who knows NLP, like, gets that, but anybody who doesn't, like, you just drop some like ninja NLP, like my subconscious.
And I didn't even know it.
And I didn't even know it.
I just found this crap out
on accident. You're like, I'm a boss on accident.
Yeah, I just found this crap out. Because I was the queen of like using my kids as an excuse, or my husband never being home working, or just like that all of my kids are like 9 and under, which is like crazy. And I could have totally validated that. Like, here's the thing, all of you that want to be successful and you're like, I'm working on this thing, I want to be self-made. Like, listen, you could tell me any excuse today and, you could probably validate it. And, most people wouldn't fight you on that. But the reality is like, what do you want to argue for? Do you want to argue for your limitations, or do you want to argue for your success? And most of us are arguing for our limitations and not asking ourselves, if I were to, how might I do that? And not only how might I do that, but how might I crush it? How might I kill it? How might I do it in a way that makes me proud? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to let myself down. At the end of the day, I don't want you to let yourself down. At the end of the day, I don't want to get to the end of my life like my dad, who died at 66 alone and in a crappy apartment, which is just a whole nother sad story. But I don't want to get to the end of my life like my dad and regret so many decisions. I want to be like, dude, I played full out. I wasn't afraid. I went after it. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of money. I made a lot of relationships, made a lot of friendships, made a difference. Like, that's what I want to do. And then just one more note on the excuses thing. Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
You need to find people in your life who are challengers, not sympathizers. If you want to be self-made and you want to be successful, especially as a woman. Now, men are pretty good at this. Men can like razz each other and can be like, come on, dude, get it together, but like as women, we're like, oh, it's okay, sis. Why don't you just take the day off? Like, let's go to the spa. Like, it's okay. You don't even need to do that. Why are you doing that thing? And they will sympathize with us. And while I love a good cry session and I love somebody to sympathize with me, if I actually want to do my life's work and what I think I need to do, I need to surround myself with challengers. And challengers are the ones that are like, hey, Serah, man, that sucks. I'm so sorry, but girl, what are you going to do about it? What's your next step? Like, where are you going to take this? How are you going to spin this? And it's going to turn out even better. Those are the challengers. They don't let you sit in your excuses. They are going to help you to propel forward.
That's so powerful and so key. And I got nothing. I got no response on that other than I'm just going to let it sit there. And like, you dropped your own mic, like somebody dropped the mic for her, because we're just going to let that right there.
Well, it's another awareness thing, and ownership is like, I would love for you, if you listen to this episode, sit down and write down the names of people that will always agree with you when you're in victim mindset.
That's really powerful.
Those are your sympathizers, and we can love them and they can be a good soft place to fall occasionally. But if every single time you're working on your dream and you're working on your plan, something goes wrong, you go to that person and they let you wallow in it. And basically you stop for a week or two or a month or a year. That is not the person that you need to be in your inner circle helping you to birth this baby.
Yeah. And the thing that I would add on to that one, going back to those internal patterns, because we have those different versions of us. So sometimes we learn that from family. Sometimes we learn that from friends or society, whatever, right? And those are voices that show up even when a person is not there. So right, again, this goes back to like self, like there may not be somebody who is sitting there sympathizing with you, but there might be a voice inside your mind that is like, it's okay. Like, you know, and keep you in that sympathy.
Yeah.
Then you don't push yourself to get out. And like, again, we can all be supporting each other, but like at the end of the day, man, like you got you.
How are you going to get back up? Right.
How you gonna get back up?
How are you going to be your own coach?
Right? I have never dragged a friend. Like I'm going to help somebody, but like you got to, it goes back to meet halfway. You got to like be pulling somebody up at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Girl, we could jam like all day, but like I mean, you touched on like who you needed to really become, and that's so absolutely powerful. I think the only, like one of the other like main things that I'd love for you to just share about, because you're so good with also maintaining like stress health, and that's physical health. And I mean, it is obviously like you have multiple different aspects of your business. I am, by the way, I am drinking my active.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That is a daily must-have.
It's in there. It's in there. But just because like maintaining that stress, and you really came from a lower point to like really supporting yourself mentally and physically with that.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
So listen, I think it's actually so crucial and so essential in the entrepreneurial journey that your first priority is to take care of yourself. And I've learned this the hard way, having struggled with postpartum depression, overworking, burning out at times where I wasn't taking care of myself. And I see it all of the time. At this point, I've coached thousands of people and helped thousands of people, you know, in launching their businesses or other things. And no matter what, I can tell when someone is going to lose it. And I can tell the first thing is they start letting themselves go. They stop taking care of themselves. And foundationally, this is the vessel that you experience life in. This is the vehicle. And this is what you go through every single day, every meeting, everything you're creating.
And the feet, it's what walks you there, like what we were talking about in the beginning.
Literally, it is what walks you there. And so if this is a last priority, you are literally putting an emergency brake on your success. So this for me, my body, not because I want to look a certain way, not because I want to have a six pack. I don't anymore, but hey, I look pretty good. I'm pretty happy.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that you look amazing. It's like the bonus.
I am a product of what I preach. Like I am a product of what I preach. And so when people are like, I just don't believe in that, I'm like, are you watching me? Like, I've got great energy. I feel good. I have great sex with my husband. I love my kids. I have like a lot of money in my businesses, but it started with me not putting myself last and taking care of the physical vessel, because what is physically going on with your body is going to impact your emotional health. And what is impacting your emotional health is going to impact your spiritual health. That's connection with God or universe or source or whatever that is. You are going to be blocked. You are going to be in a fog. And if you're blocked from that, you're really blocking a lot of inspiration. You're blocking a lot of intuition. You're blocking a lot of clarity. So if you don't have that, where's your creativity coming from? What are you producing? And so I will fight until the day I die to try to help people to understand you have got to take care of your health. You have got to prioritize it. And when you do, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and then in that creative realm of what you're making in your business on your self-made journey is going to be amplified. Like I know I can run laps around a lot of people. Like I got the endurance.
I can attest to seeing
in high heels nonetheless, baby.
In
like let's put those spikes on and let's like jump around on the stage. But it's like, Liz, I'm not saying that to be like, hey, I'm saying it because it takes a lot of energy to be self-made.
But I think, but owning that, like, it's not an insult to anybody else. It's like, wait a second, because then it goes back to like, what are we saying that is not honoring the effort, the wisdom, the experience that you've put in? So yeah, it is saying it like to be a badass. Because
it is what it is. It's like,
if
someone wants to be like, hey, why do you take 10 capsules at night? I'm like, well, I mean, look at what I'm producing. I mean, I'd probably take 20 if it would give me more, but like, yeah, I work out every day. Yeah, I take a lot of supplements. Yeah, I take care of my mental health. Yeah, I do all of those things because if I want to create the impact that I want to create and I want to continue to be self-made and help other women to be self-made, it is actually a responsibility to take care of my body. It is not just a nicety or a fun little thing that I'll do on the weekend or whatever. It's a responsibility that I take very seriously. And I know if you want to go to the next level and you want to create more and you want to just skyrocket in whatever you're doing, if you put that care first, you will be able to run faster, farther, longer, and harder. 100%. Like
you might even be able to walk on water at that point. I mean,
maybe.
That was the goal, right? That was your like, I'm trying to walk on water over here.
No, listen, here's what it is I just want to be able to go deeper.
Yeah, that part.
I want to be able to go deeper. I want to be able to, it's not what storm, comes into your life. It's who meets the storm, right? Because the storm is going to come, but it's like, who am I going to be when the storm comes? You know who I'm going to be? I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be emotionally resilient. I'm going to have a strong spirit. I'm going to be so experienced. Like the storms are going to come, but I am going to prepare myself because whoever it is that meets that storm, that's what determines the outcome. And so I want to be able to go deep. I want to be under the waves. I want them to be thrashing. I want them to be crashing upon me. And I want to be that resilient person that's always like, yes. And what business are we going to build next?
Right. And that part. And I love that because those are some really like core values of what it means to be a self-made woman,
Yeah.
and just to like, I feel like just wrapping this up, you mentioned, resilience, but you also have self-reliance and you have perseverance and you have ambition and self-discipline and creativity and empathy and integrity and especially leadership. And those are a lot of the key values that it takes to be a self-made woman. And you're doing it like,
I'm having fun.
Well, you're having that part. Okay. Like that part. Because you're so mission driven and you're just doing it and you're doing it to a 10. And the fact that you say that you're having fun doing it, I think sometimes maybe we forget that part. And that's just a really healthy, really great reminder. Girl, you're such a fucking badass. And I'm going to drop the F-bomb on that.
Thank you,
because
baby.
it emphasizes you.
I love you. You're my favorite. This was so fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Let's do it again. Let's have more conversations like this and empowering other women in the same. So I love you. And I know I didn't do a lot of checking on like the comments and stuff like that. I saw people coming in and out. So everybody that's watching this replay, of course, in the YouTube, there will be links and it will be like, if you're, watching this through my newsletter and stuff like that, I'm going to link everything to Brooke because you're doing also, we did I had the pleasure of speaking at Align, but you're doing another one next year, January in San Antonio. You'll do more events in between, right? But that was an epic one. So just as like a side note, mark calendars for January. What is it the same 19th something?
It's January 18th, 19th, and 20th in San Antonio on the Riverwalk.
Come on. And your events are epic. And not just because it is like fun and right. And you're talking about business and you're talking about money and all those things that we love as women, but like the group of women, the type of women that you bring, it was just such fun, like just badass energy. I can't even put enough adjectives.
They are hungry and their energy is off the charts and they're ready to play, probably because I'm jumping around in high heels. I don't know.
That part, which you look great doing it. I love you, babe.
Love you, girl.
For sharing just your wisdom. I just so appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
All right.
That was fun.
That was fun. All right. Hang on. I don't know.